What happens when a Hollywood legend faces a host who isn't afraid to ask the toughest questions? This moment on The Oprah Winfrey Show became one that viewers will never forget. Denzel Washington, a two-time Oscar winner, came to the show to promote his new film, but no one was prepared for what happened next. The studio fell silent, cameras buzzed, and the audience held their breath. This is a story about dignity, respect, and the boundaries that should never be crossed. The Oprah Winfrey Show's studio in Chicago glowed under bright spotlights. The audience buzzed with anticipation. Today's guest was none other than Denzel Washington, whose charisma and talent had made him a Hollywood icon. The large screen behind the stage displayed clips from his new film, an epic historical drama about the fight for justice. Posters promised a profound story that would make viewers think. But that evening, the story unfolding in the studio would prove just as dramatic. Oprah Winfrey, as always, radiated warm confidence. Her signature smile, perfectly tailored ivory suit, and effortless conversational style created an atmosphere of trust. She stepped onto the stage to thunderous applause, raised her hands to greet the crowd, and announced, "Today, we have a very special guest, a man whose roles make us cry, laugh, and believe in something greater. Please welcome Denzel Washington." Denzel entered with his trademark calm grace. His navy blue suit fit impeccably, and a slight smile hinted at the confidence of a man who knows his worth. He hugged Oprah, waved to the audience, and the room erupted in applause. Women in the front rows whispered excitedly, men nodded in respect. Cameras hummed, capturing his every move, while producers backstage checked the show's timing. Everything was going according to plan, at least for now. Oprah invited Denzel to sit in the plush chair across from her. "Denzel, I'm so glad you're here," she began, holding her cue cards. "Your new film is already generating a lot of buzz. Tell us about it." Her voice was friendly, but a faint glint in her eyes suggested she was ready to dig deeper. Denzel, relaxed yet attentive, began talking about his project. "It's a story about fighting for justice, about people who don't give up, even when the odds are against them," he said, his deep voice filling the studio. "I love these roles because they remind us that each of us can change the world." The audience applauded, but Oprah leaned forward, her smile sharpening. "That's very noble, Denzel. But tell me." She paused, as if hesitating. "Don't you think those roles are just a way to avoid real-world problems? I mean, you play heroes on screen, but where's your voice in the real world?" The studio fell silent. The camera zoomed in on Denzel's face, which remained calm, though his eyes narrowed slightly. The audience exchanged glances, and a producer backstage muttered under their breath. Something in the air shifted, and everyone felt it. Denzel leaned back in his chair, his fingers lightly gripping the armrests. "What do you mean, Oprah?" he asked, his voice steady but tinged with wariness. Oprah, sensing the moment, didn't back down. "Well, you know what I mean. You're one of the most influential actors of our time. People listen to you. But when it comes to real issues, racism, inequality, protests, you choose silence. Why don't you use your platform like activists or even other actors do?" Her tone wasn't accusatory, but it was sharp enough to sting. The studio went quiet. A woman in the third row covered her mouth. A man next to her started recording on his phone. One of the camera operators, without taking his eyes off the lens, whispered to a colleague, "This is going viral." Backstage, a producer holding a walkie-talkie frantically asked, "Do we cut to commercial or do we stay?" Denzel nodded slowly, as if processing Oprah's words. "I hear your question," he said, his voice still calm but with a steely edge. "But let me clarify something. My platform is my roles, my films. I tell stories that make people think, feel, and change. That's my form of activism." Oprah raised an eyebrow, her smile turning sardonic. "Stories are great, Denzel. But don't you think that's not enough? People want to see you at protests, hear your statements in the news. Are you staying silent because it's comfortable to stay in your safe zone?" The silence in the studio became oppressive. Someone in the audience gasped softly. Denzel clenched his fists, his jaw tightening, but he still held himself together. Oprah, he said, his voice quieter but weightier. I'm not avoiding issues. I choose my path. My films speak for me. They reach millions. You call that a safe zone? I call it work that matters. The audience erupted in applause, but Oprah wasn't done. She leaned in closer, her eyes gleaming. Work that matters? She repeated. But don't you think you're hiding behind those roles to avoid real responsibility? You know, Denzel, people say you're afraid to say something that might hurt your career. Those words hit like a lightning bolt. The camera caught Denzel briefly looking down, his lips pressed tightly together. The audience stirred, someone whispering, "That's too much." Backstage, the producer waved her hand, signaling the operators to keep the cameras on Denzel. The tension in the studio was palpable, as if the air had grown heavy. Everyone waited for what he would say next. Denzel looked up, his gaze direct and piercing. "Oprah," he began, his voice trembling not from weakness but from restrained emotion. "You want to know why I'm not standing on soapboxes or shouting to the world? Because I do what I do best. I tell stories. Stories about people who fight, who win, who fall and get back up. You think that's easy? Every film is a battle. Every character is a part of me." He paused, and the studio froze. Even Oprah seemed taken aback by the force of his words. "When I was young," Denzel continued, "I saw my father work himself to the bone to give us a chance. I saw my mother pray for us every night. They didn't stand at protests. They didn't have a platform. But they changed my world. And I want to change the world for others through what I do." The audience erupted in applause, some in the back rows even standing. A woman in the front row wiped away tears. But Oprah, sensing the moment slipping away, decided to go all in. "That's very moving, Denzel," she said, her voice sharper. "But don't you think you're using those stories to avoid real pain? People want to see you in the fight, not just on screen." Those words were the final straw. Denzel stood from his chair, his movements slow but resolute. The cameras buzzed, capturing every gesture. The audience held their breath. "Oprah," he said, his voice quiet but cutting through the room, "I'm not hiding. I fight every day. And if you think you can judge me for how I do it, you're wrong." He turned to the audience, his eyes blazing. "I do this for you. For those who see themselves in my characters. For those who believe they can change the world. And I won't let anyone tell me that's not enough." The studio exploded with applause, but Denzel was already walking toward the exit. His footsteps echoed loudly in the silence, the click of his heels reverberating through the microphones. Oprah sat stunned, her smile gone. Producers backstage panicked, one shouting into a walkie-talkie, "Keep the camera on him!" The audience was divided, some clapped, others whispered in disbelief. The moment went viral before the show even ended. After Denzel Washington left the stage of the Oprah Winfrey Show, the studio remained in a state of shock. His words, filled with dignity and passion, still hung in the air, and the echo of his heels as he walked away became the soundbite of a moment that would go down in television history. But the conflict wasn't over. What happened next only added fuel to the fire, dividing the audience and sparking a storm on social media. Could Oprah regain control of the situation? And what consequences awaited both of them after this showdown? As Denzel disappeared backstage, the studio fell into a momentary hush. Cameras continued to hum, capturing Oprah's face as she sat motionless, her hands gripping her cue cards. Her signature smile had vanished, replaced by an expression that teetered between shock and an attempt to maintain professional composure. The audience was split. Some continued to applaud, supporting Denzel, while others whispered, unable to believe what they had just witnessed. Backstage, the producer, holding a walkie-talkie, whispered frantically, "We're going to commercial! Now!" But the show's director, sensing the moment's potential to go viral, signaled to keep filming. One camera operator zoomed in on the front row, where a young woman wiped away tears, clutching her phone as she recorded the final moments. A man nearby muttered, "She went too far." Oprah, gathering herself, raised a hand to calm the audience. All right, she said, her voice slightly shaky but quickly regaining control. This show is about honest conversations, and sometimes they get intense. She tried to smile, but it looked forced. Let's thank Denzel for his passion and dedication to his craft. The audience's response was mixed. Some clapped, others sat in silence, and a few in the back rows even shouted, "Shame on you, Oprah!" A security guard near the entrance exchanged glances with the producer, preparing for any potential disruptions. The tension in the studio was palpable, as if the air crackled with emotion. Oprah, sensing she was losing control, quickly pivoted to the next segment. "We'll be back after the break with a new topic," she announced, and the lights dimmed as the show went to commercial. But backstage, panic was mounting. Producers frantically discussed how to wrap the show without losing ratings, while an assistant scrolled through Twitter, where the hashtag Denzel vs. Oprah was already trending. As soon as the show ended, clips of the conflict spread across social media like wildfire. The video of Denzel delivering his final words before walking off garnered millions of views within hours. Fans were divided. Some praised Denzel for his dignity and commitment to his art, calling his speech a moment of truth, while others supported Oprah, arguing she was just doing her job by asking tough questions. The media exploded with coverage. Headlines ranged from "Denzel Washington stuns Oprah in live showdown" to "Did Oprah Winfrey go too far?" Columnists dissected every gesture and word, and rival talk shows like The View and Late Night invited experts to discuss the incident. Some critics accused Oprah of using her platform for provocation to boost ratings, while her supporters insisted she was simply raising an important issue. For Denzel, the moment only solidified his reputation as a man of principle. His speech, particularly his words about how his parents changed his world without public protests, was quoted in countless articles and posts. Fans launched the hashtag #IStandWithDenzel, and his new film, which he had come to promote, gained extra attention, leading to a surge in box office numbers over the opening weekend. Oprah, meanwhile, faced a wave of criticism, but her team responded swiftly. The next day, she posted a statement on Twitter. "I respect Denzel and his contributions to the arts. Our show is a place for honest conversations, and sometimes they get challenging. I'm grateful for this discussion." But even this statement didn't quell the debate. Some saw it as a sincere apology, others as an attempt to save face. The moment became not just a television event but a catalyst for a broader conversation about the role of art in society. Is it enough to be a voice, through creative work, or must every influential figure become an activist? Denzel, who rarely commented on such matters, remained silent, letting his speech speak for him. This conflict between Denzel Washington and Oprah Winfrey left viewers with an important lesson: everyone has the right to choose their way of impacting the world. For some, it's protests or loud statements. For others, it's art that inspires millions. But true strength lies in staying true to yourself, even when others try to diminish or question your principles. Denzel reminded us that dignity and respect are not just about how you respond to provocation but about how you live your life. What do you think of this conflict? Did Denzel do the right thing by walking off? Did Oprah have the right to ask such pointed questions? Who do you think was in the right? Share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to stay updated on stories like this.